Welcome, guys. Welcome to a new episode of Rich and Rich podcast. I'm your host, Rich, with my co-host, Rich. Welcome today. Today we have a lot of games to talk about. Match week 2, very exciting games. We have a few games here to talk about. Starting with Chelsea versus West Ham, beating them 5-1. As we predicted last week, we did mention it's going to be a dominant game. Um, Rich, what do you think about it? What do you think about the Chelsea game and their dominance against West Ham?
Well, I mean, West Ham have looked really bad to start out the season, and they haven't really brought anybody in. They still have the same coach who didn't do so great, so good last year at the ending of last year, and there's no new players. They lost. Well, they did bring like one new player, but he's doing all right. But overall, their defense looks bad, and they've been struggling really, really bad. So.
Yeah.
Unless they change something, it's gonna look bad for the
Yeah.
season.
I think like watching the game on Friday, their midfield was really open. Seems like they're missing some legs in there as well. Despite Paqueta scoring a beautiful goal, um, I think they didn't really kick on from there. They kind of think they regressed, and it looks like Chelsea might give Potter another sack. What do you think? You think that might happen or no?
No, I think they'll give them time. Um, what they need to do is just get one more new defender. Switch up that sort of play three in the back. Just go with traditional four. And then also get a new signing in for the midfield, and then just bench Ward-Prowse. He's too old. He needs to, he needs to be benched. Or go back to Southampton. But yeah, they need one more defensive midfielder.
Okay.
And then kind of
Goalkeeper.
this,
Now, goalkeeper, do you think your Matt Henderson it's good enough? Because he was a Leicester was it last season? Last 2 seasons, and he got them relegated.
well,
So
the thing with
I think
goalkeeper, you can protect them with good defenders. So I'm not really focused on the goalkeeper, more or less the defenders that are protecting him. So if you have a good defense, the goalkeeper is not really. They still have the goalkeeper from last year, but not to spend too much time on West Ham and what they need. But they just need to get a better defenders and switch up that formation, and then also try to get Bowen more involved. It seems like he hasn't really kicked on at the start of the season, and then get in another central midfielder. I know the irony is they're linked with Fernandez from Southampton. He did good last year in the Premier League, so I think that would be a good way to kind of bring him in, and then send Ward-Prowse back to Southampton, to be honest.
so. You think changing what Prowse in the middle will kind of help them in a way?
Yeah, it'll help them in a way.
Okay. All right.
It's yeah,
Okay. All right. I guess that's fair. He's old, He have a good loan spell for it. So I guess, yeah. Now let's switch to my boys, Chelsea. They had to score 5 goals after conceding first. Um, Esteval, the winner kid, who comes in with Palmer, um, who had an injury during the warm-ups. Seems like a groin injury, but seems like Chelsea did not feel that at all. They were just cruising. Tell me more about that.
I mean, it's just the level of competition you play. So not to say Chelsea didn't do good because you can only, perform against whatever team you're playing against, but West Ham was that poor. So it's the same thing with the Arsenal game. If the team is bad, and you have a good team, you're gonna be successful against them. And last week, West Ham did the same thing. They got beat real bad. So I mean, that's not real surprise that Chelsea were able to score five.
Okay, okay. And now let's talk about another new signing and João Pedro. He's really starting and loving life at Stamford Bridge. Starting 5 games, or playing 5 games, scoring 4 and assisting 2. So about 6 goal contributions together, including the Club World Cup runs that he had. it's looking pretty good. Seems like a sign of the season so far for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, Pedro's already familiar with EPL, so it's not like he needs to, uh, he needs time to adapt to the league. He's already familiar. He's on good form at the moment. I mean, last week Chelsea didn't really do much, but this week, obviously, like I said, West Ham kind of helped them. But at the same time, it's like, okay, he's still, if you go back to the Club World Cup, he's still doing good and performing well for the team. And the other Chelsea players kind of just, this weekend they kind of, kicked it up another level. So that's good for Chelsea considering how they started the season.
Yeah. So that's Mariska's boys are living large right now and looking to kick it on in match week 3. Now let's move on to Arsenal. You mentioned Arsenal earlier on. They had a big win against Leeds, 5-0, but they had some injuries to say. Injuries to Saka and Odegaard might be a big blow, but let's talk more about the game before we jump into the injuries and how they affect them.
Yes, I think with Leeds, they got to learn that, they're not in the championship. So once you're coming up against these top four teams, you kind of have to focus more on the defensive side and staying in the game, and then kind of finding, trying to get to the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes within range to kind of either get a tie or a win if possible. So they just have to kind of, not be so naive and thinking that they're still at the top of the table because now they're really at the bottom since they're really they're their team coming from the championship. So I mean it's just tactics in these types of games, and you can't let these games pretty much you can't lose the games and within like the first half. If you They did well against Everton, so I think they were pretty much they probably got overconfident, and Arsenal just kind of just too much for them at the end of the day. And it's just more of like a coach thing, and also more of like, okay, we're a championship team, so we still have to adapt to the Premier League. And when you face these big teams, your coach has to get the tactics right. So I say the coach pretty much failed them in that regard.
Okay, okay. Now let's jump into the injuries. Um, Odegaard and Saka. Now, they did unveil a new player in Eze. Now, how do you think having Saka and Odegaard out for a few weeks? It's been mentioned that Saka will be out for about 3 to 4 weeks, so probably after an international break, or maybe longer than that. Odegaard is still yet to be assessed. Bring if is this signing and coming in, does he start right away next week? And how does that help Arsenal or hinder having or Madueke and or Wanweri on that second role? How do you think that will work for Arsenal?
Well, that's why you get a big squad if you're trying to win a championship, right? That's why you need a big squad. So um, that's why they brought in Madueke, and that's why they brought Eze in, because injuries are part of the game. And last year was the same thing. Saka got injured at a certain point, and they kind of, the team kind of went down a little bit after that, and they weren't able to win the Premier League. So, I mean, Eze is a big boost. In some people's mind, Eze is better than Odegaard, to be honest. So that might be a that might be a position for him to take over Odegaard. So, I mean, Odegaard hasn't been performing that well. I know everybody's a captain and everything, but he hasn't been assisting. He hasn't been scoring. Saka's always doing his thing. And, Madueke is, once again, is one of those players who's been in the Premier League. So you know what you're going to get out of him. And they have the Nahurara guy. And then you have the Max Diamond guy too. So there's pressure and there's competition at Arsenal that can push them. Now the next game is against Liverpool, so that's going to be tough. I think a draw there is good for both teams. Even Liverpool's not up to speed yet, so that's the good thing for Arsenal, and they can always rely on their defense. The big thing with Arsenal is they have the best defense, they can rely on that defense, and they can rely on set pieces to get wins. So they don't really have to be that offensive. And then now they have Gyokores then who can get you a goal. So they have everything to win the league.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, with Gyokores, I mean, I did make a bold statement last week that he might be the flop of the season. Now, with him kicking in with 2 goals y- last week, do you think he will kick it up a notch and prove me wrong or no?
So it's not going to be a flop just because he's surrounded by talented players. So with new joining a new team, it's all about chemistry. So it just takes time to get used to your new teammates. Then it takes time to also pretty much adapt to the league, and then it also takes time, to basically um, find your form as a player because he also didn't have a preseason. So now there's three things that he basically has to do. Scoring 2 goals helps, but it's against Leeds. So don't put too much into it. Obviously, it helps because now the pressure is kind of off. Like, oh, this guy can't score. He looks so bad. And this, but he's proven he's a good striker. So that's not even something to think about. He's gonna produce the goals just based off like his technique, the runs he's making, teammates have to pick up on that. And then just a lot of, just the chemistry and time that he needs to develop with his team will make him um, one of the top strikers in the league. And then playing for Arsenal also helps. So that's not going to be a big thing.
Okay. Also, we had other games like Brentford versus Villa, where Brentford had an advantage over Villa in a 1-0 win. Should Villa be worried? Should Ina Emery be worried? Does he need reinforcements? What's your take on that?
So last year, like Villa pretty much, you know, um, they pretty much were overachievers last year. So I think maybe we're looking at them this year like one of the top 6 teams, but overachieved, right? Emery's a good coach. Obviously, he's been at several of the top clubs. He's won Europa League conferences before, and he's always like has very competitive teams. So I don't think you need to worry too much about Villa. It's still like 2 games at the start of the season. I think they'll find their form eventually. It's still the same team, which is kind of always something to worry about if you're going to a new season with the same team and that team is not really clicking. So they still have a couple days uh, to kind of get new players in to help out. So that's another thing. The transfer market's still open. They have a pretty good coach, so I'm not worried about the coach. It's just, and they got rid of Ramsey, which kind of like didn't make sense because he's still a young player, but that could just go back to playing time, obviously. But Villa is Villa. I don't think maybe we're expecting them to be as good as last year, but then last year they overachieved. So I wouldn't put too much into them. I think they'll finish maybe in the middle or like around 10th, 11th position.
Hmm. Last week, I know we did talk about Brentford a little bit, losing in Buemo, and now we sat out trying to force the move to Newcastle. Um, with this win, does that give them confidence to step up without their big man, or should that still be a worry?
Anyone gives you confidence. Brentford's one of those teams. They seem to have gotten some new players into. So that helps the new players scored. And I also like that they're getting players that are in the Premier League. I think anytime you bring a player outside of the Premier League, they always need time to adjust. So
Yeah.
it's good to bring players. So their new player, they brought in Quattaro, he scored, you know, so or assisted. So I mean, that always is good feeling for a new player coming into a new team. And we don't know much about the coach, so we'll find out more. And we didn't look too good the week before, but it's a long season.
So there's hope for Brentford. Okay, I see. Now let's talk about Manchester City and Tottenham. Pep, Once again, he got outcoached by a rival. Thomas Frank beat him to the punch, had Kudus and Richarlison running at the defense. We once again we saw the vulnerabilities and frailties. What can you tell me about the Man City defense? What's going on? The midfield, what's going on? Reinders looked really good last week, and this week or this past week, he's kind of falling off. What's going on?
Yeah, so it's a once again it's a long season and it's just the beginning. But in defense of Pep, the team looked bad. I don't know if it's the selection. Now we know that Pep likes to rotate players in and out, and sometimes that can disturb the form of a player. And also, once again, they have all these new players that came in, so I would think you wanted them give them time to develop chemistry with each other and also, gain that confidence. If that's going to be your starting 11, you want to kind of give them that time to, develop that chemistry and, be more effective as a team instead of just rotating different players in and out. Now he has a big squad and they're all talented, but none of them, yeah, I mean, last week Reinders was like the top player. None of them have shown like they want to be like the star of the team. Now you have Holland, but Holland is dependent on service. And so that's the thing. Even if you have him in your fantasy team, and one week he can have 50 points, the next week he can have 10 points because he's dependent on service. He's not a player who can do it by himself with all, his greatest attribute is scoring, but if he doesn't have the service to do it, then he kind of becomes like a useless player in a way.
Yeah.
And if you bring in different players too, it kind of changes the way like they want to play. Shirky's different from Mamouche. Mamouche is different from Doku. And you have all this talent, but they couldn't score. So that's the concerning part about Man City. And I mean, it may be a Pep thing, but also let's give credits to Spurs. They started out the season great, from preseason to now. And the new players that they brought in, along with Charleston, who seems to have found his way again or his form. Kudus is looking great for them, providing assists. And Charleston is scoring the goals. Their defense looks tight. They're not giving up much of anything to any team at the moment. And even though they lost to PSG, that was a great sign because you can see with the new coach, his philosophy and how he wants the team to play. And they seem to be executing. So it's a big win against City, but it's not surprising. Also, some coaches just seem to know how to deal with other coaches better. And in this case, the Frank Thomas guy seems to, have one on Pep. But Pep too, sometimes he also causes his own troubles because he'll do some substitution, some
That's too much.
formation.
Tinkers too much
And
with the players.
he
Yeah.
just started. Yeah. And it seemed like he overcoaches. He's telling the players you have to do this or you won't play the next game. And so the players are not free to use their full abilities.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about players being free from Pep's coaching, Everton. They signed Grealish. He made his first start last weekend. And you could see Grealish back again. That $100 million player that Man City bought was back. The Grealish of Villa days was back again. Had two assists actually, assisting Ndoye and um, James Garner on the two goals that Everton scored against Brighton. You could see Grealish is free. He's having fun. Seems like he's really making a charge for the England squad for the World Cup. What's your thoughts on that game? And Grealish in the whole in the new stadium.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a player, if you have freedom to use your full abilities, it gives you the confidence because you can make mistakes. So your mistakes aren't going to be like uh, your coach is not going to be mad because you're making mistakes because he knows at the end of the day, if you make 10 mistakes, you can still get a goal, you can still get two assists, and you can help the team win in that way because of how talented you are. So, getting the green light from the coach gives you the confidence, and then you can try other things or new tricks that you might have not tried at Man City, because obviously it seems like with Pep and some of these teams, if you don't have the freedom, basically you're kind of like scared to use your full abilities and skills because you don't want to lose the ball. You don't want to try something and it looks bad. Now everybody's looking at you, and that takes away from your confidence. So I think Grealish, that's I wouldn't say that's the level he's at, but it's important to join the right team and have the right coach behind you who can give you that confidence. That's the whole thing with most players. So Grealish right now, he has the coach that's given him the green light to do what he needs to do and be comfortable and boost his confidence, uh, you know, and to perform at the highest level. So Everton, once again, I mean, it's kind of Everton. Everton, Grealish will help them, but they'll be in the middle of the pack again. So as far as that,
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So now let's move on to the talking point of the one of the talking points of the week. Manchester United away at Fulham. United haven't scored a goal yet. As of match week 2, they haven't scored a goal yet by themselves. 2 games, 1 goal in their goals for column. How do you explain that? They tied a game 1-1 against Fulham at Craven Cottage.
I guess the big factor in that game was the goal kick, not the goal kick, the PK missed by Bruno. Obviously, Bruno's been one of the most consistent and most talented players. And I mean, nobody expects him to miss a PK because he's barely misses those types of things. But it happens. It happens. And it could be a number of factor of things. I know the referee bumped into him, but he seems like he's just upset. And that also might come down to how the team is playing and how I guess, when you practice and when you play against in preseason and, you might have like good games or even the game against Arsenal, it was good. They didn't win, but they played good. They looked good. But then when you play against somebody of a lesser competition and you lose, that's concerning. And if you're playing bad against them, that's also concerning, and that can frustrate you to the point where you might miss a PK. But it's kind of concerning now because Ruben Amorim has been there for since last year. He has a preseason. They brought in new players, two, two of that one of two of the top goal scorers in the league from last year. If you combine their goals together, Bruno and Cunha, and they've had like instances and moments where they look like they can score, but then they didn't. So now that kind of messes with the confidence of the team. And then you go and tie Fulham. It's kind of like and then the coaches seem stubborn, like to the point where he's not changing anything about it. Everything is based on his formation, and I've never seen a formation where it's like life and death. But it seems like this guy's willing to risk. He's willing to
Uh,
risk his job.
yeah, yeah,
He's
same.
risk, yeah, he's willing to risk his job based on this formation. And if you don't have the players to fit your formation, why do you keep doing it?
Talk to him. So
That's my
what do you have to say to him? If you given a chance to speak to him one on one, or if you say give him a phone call, what do you have to say to him?
listen.
Have to
You
say
have
Amorim.
so at United have enough class and um, top class players to finish top six. Now with this formation, if you don't have the midfield and to play that formation, just go to three and go back to traditional four in the back and three people in the midfield. Bring him back. What's the Ghanaian boy name? Meno. Bring
Yeah.
Meno back in the midfield. Put Bruno back in there as an eight, and then use Casemiro, and you have a triangle with two holding midfielders. Or even if you want to use Mount and Meno, you can kind of ask one of them more or less to stay back if you need to. But I would just use Casemiro and Meno traditionally as your two holding midfielders, then put Bruno as an eight. I know with the now you have Sesko and pretty much and Bueno and Cunha, so you can't bench them. So just use them as your three strikers, three up front, and you taken away from Bruno. But if you bring Bruno in, that's three. What is it? 5-3-2-1. It takes away from Bruno already. But
Yeah.
now if you just put in two people in the midfield, now you're asking him to do something he's not comfortable with, and it's gonna make your best player look bad. And then the new players should bring it in. Just this formation thing doesn't make sense. Nobody in the last 10 years in the top last 20 years in the top uh five five leagues uses that formation. So I don't know why he thinks this formation is just gonna change everything.
No.
Because you've been losing since Christmas. So you gotta change something.
Now, if you look at this United squad, who are and you're given the opportunity to choose an 11 out of these people, who are you picking? Who do you have in goal? Onana or Altec?
You have to play Onana. Just play Onana. That's fine.
Now,
Onana will make a mistake every now and then, but that's normal. Not everybody, and it's just confidence too. Yeah, but if you expect them to make a mistake every now and then, he's still your best goalkeeper. Because the new guy the new keeper they brought, that guy cannot even catch a corner kick. So that's a huge. If your goalkeeper cannot come
Altec,
out,
Bayern there. Yeah,
if you're a goalkeeper and you cannot come out on a corner kick to just clear the ball, you can't play in this league.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, so
So,
let's put a back there because now you're messing with people's head. Because he's like, this girl don't trust me. You have to put the players in and give them confidence, enough confidence where they can make mistake and bounce back. Where they're not thinking if I make a mistake, this and that.
yeah. So
That's
you have Onana in goal. Who are your fullbacks?
Deloitte and Shaw. That's it.
So you have Shaw over Dogu.
Dogu, I don't know about that guy. He just runs. He's a he's an
Okay.
athlete.
Hmm.
You can put him in Shaw. Because the thing with Shaw is he never finishes the season.
That-
So at some point you have
That's
to
another.
expect Shaw to go out. So either Shaw or Dogu is fine, to be honest.
And who are
But
your center backs?
Delight and Maguire. Who's the other center back for
Euro, Martinez.
okay, Euro. Okay, Euro. Euro is nice.
Okay.
So Euro and Delight makes it. Or even Euro and Delight is Maguire. They actually have
Options.
yeah, they have good options. Yeah, they have good options. Obviously, in the midfield, like I said, you need just put Casemiro in there. He's not gonna play the full 90 minutes. You can sub in for Gatti or whatever, and then you have Meno and Casemiro, and then you use your three new forwards up there and let them just, figure it out instead of this formation and I want them to play this way. These are professional players. You coming from Portugal, bro. You're not about to teach professional players how to score goals. Just doesn't work like yeah. You can you can put them
Shots
in the best.
fired at Amarim. Hmm.
Yeah, you can put
Shots
players in
fired.
best them the positions to score goals, but at the end of the day, right? These are professional players who've been playing their whole life, and I can tell you, most of them have not been playing that formation that guy has been talking about, and I don't really see the I don't see the what positive or what they get from that formation. What does that formation give them?
I'm not sure.
You can't score goals with that formation, it looks like. So you're not scoring goals and you're conceding goals. So, look, brother, change it up.
Okay. So you have Dogu or Shaw, Maguire, Delete, Maguire, Delete, Euro,
Bro. Yeah, one of
any of those, and then
oh, yeah.
Dalot on the other side. And
Yes.
basically, you didn't mention you're gonna have Casemiro and Kobe Mainu as the two holding midfielders, and
Oh,
then gonna have Bruno in the behind the striker. Then who we gonna have on the wings? Embuemo, Diallo, uh,
no, Zimbabwe, Cunha, and Sesko. That's it.
Cunha, Mount, and Cisco.
And Bruno, Sesko, and Cunha. That's
Okay,
it.
got it, got it. I'm a rim. If you're listening, that's the formation you should go.
I don't think we'll make it to.
I'm not even gonna go into that. Probably maybe next week we'll jump into coach's future as the transfer window closes, but let's stick to that for now. For now. Now, game of the week in Newcastle and Liverpool. Last week we sat here and predicted Liverpool were gonna run away with it. They were gonna teach Newcastle who's boss, men against boys game. We are far off the mark. The game ended in 3-2 in favor of Liverpool. It was a tight game until the 88th minute where uh, Osula came in and tied the game. And the new kid on the block on the free transfer from Chelsea to Liverpool came in, you know, came in the 90th minute or 90 and some other minutes. Came in 90 and 10 minutes. He scored a goal, the winning goal. 16-year-old Rio scored the winning goal for Liverpool in a classy finish. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so that was, I guess, the winning goal. Just to talk about the winning goal, the passage, the whole setup, that was the best play, in terms of passing, the dummy, the execution, the technique used by Rio to actually score the goal. The goalkeeper didn't even move. So that's the best part about Liverpool. Offensively, they're always gonna bring it, and then Liverpool just have this thing where they don't lose. They'll find ways to win, and even though they're struggling defensively, I would say giving up goals, are still trying to figure out what their defensive base will look like. Offensively, they don't seem to have missed anything, and they still have that Liverpool thing where it's like we just 90th minute, we'll win. We'll find a way. And the last time Chiesa, it just came out of nowhere. The fool hasn't scored a goal since he came to the club. It's crazy. This guy hasn't even scored one goal.
I like to hear that.
He hasn't done anything. They were trying to get rid of him. He only stayed because, Nunes left, so now he'll get more playing time. And then this week is this kid Rio, who basically is just like one of his first Premier League games. He scores. So they obviously have this confidence that they'll find a way, which they did, and everybody expected them to win, and they won, even though Newcastle put up a fight. I think what happened with Newcastle is, they didn't want to get embarrassed. They know they're gonna lose their best player to Liverpool, so they were just trying to, the crowd, the players, they have this extra energy where they're like, yeah, we're not lesser than Liverpool in a way, so they just didn't want to feel disrespected. And obviously they played good, even though they got that red card from what's his name, the small. Yeah, even him, he's like overhyped because it seemed like he has something to prove. Like the tackle he made doesn't even make sense. You're nowhere close to the ball. Just like, I have to do this because the crowd is cheering, and he just did it.
Now, talking about red cards, Gordon did get a red card for a very dangerous tackle.
It's a red.
Konate should have got a red card. He
What?
at counter attack, he dragged the defender down on a goal scoring opportunity. The referee just waved it on, even though he was on a yellow. VAR couldn't intervene for a second yellow, but that's not a second yellow offense. Looking at how that tackle went, it should have been a straight red because it was through on goal. There was no cover.
And then, it depends on what the referee's seeing. So obviously the referee didn't agree that he was the last man. So that's the only thing. Obviously, we know referees do
You
make
think
mistakes.
VAR should intervene though in situations
Yeah,
like that?
no, no, no. Me
It's not
personally,
second goal.
personally, I'm not. I don't like war because they change the game too much. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense. So
It
sometimes it's
like
right, sometimes it doesn't make sense. So me, I'm not anything with VAR. I don't really like.
Gak
I think they should.
looking at the game again, Gakpo should have got a red card as well on a tackle on, I believe, Bruno. It was similar to the one of Van Dijk, but he didn't see any card. So do you think referees are favoring Liverpool a little bit, or what's your take?
It's nothing new. Referees favor the bigger teams, so that's nothing new. If you're a smaller team and you're playing against a big team, it's normal. It's normal. It happens for every big team. Yeah, so that's normal.
Okay, we are running short on time, so let's do quick rapid fire for match week 3. So we have Chelsea versus Fulham. What's your score prediction? Quick score line.
1-1, 1-1.
1-1. Wow.
Yeah, Fulham is a legitimate team. They seem to have a coach. They didn't even buy any players that I know of, but they're using the same people from last year and they look good.
Yeah, I think Chelsea will dominate this one as well. I'm calling 3-1. 3-1. Wolves Everton.
1-1, because both teams,
1.
I'm not really sure where they're going. They're middle pack of the table types of teams. So it depends on which team wants to win.
I think 1-0 for Everton. Tottenham Bournemouth.
2-1 Tottenham. Let's go Spurs.
Same. Sunderland Brentford.
Sunderland.
Yes,
Uh,
Sunderland Brentford.
yeah, 2-1 Sunderland.
Hmm.
Yeah.
1-1.
What's the game at?
It's a Sunderland.
Yeah, 2-1 Sunderland.
Okay. Man United Burnley.
Hey, if Man U cannot beat Burnley, come on, man. Let's go 2-1 for Man U.
Quick. Newcastle Leeds. Quick.
2-1 Leeds.
Forest West Ham.
Forest and West Ham. 3-0. Forest.
Brighton Man City.
It should be 2-2.
Okay.
3-2. 3-2 City.
Liverpool Arsenal.
0-0. Oh, 1-1. 2-2.
And then finally Palace Villa.
1-0. Palace. Palace actually won't win. Villa will win. I think Palace is playing in the Europa League or something, so they might be tired.
Okay. All right, guys. Here's the latest episode. We'll be back next week with another episode on Match Week 3 games. See you guys.